Hey guys, so another layout I did for the load challenge for May 2013, and I'm scrapbooking this crazy picture. The theme of today's layout or the challenge for that day was the knife, and Stu got me a very expensive chef's knife for Christmas this year. And when I opened it, I have this like crazy look on my face, and I'm posing for a picture with a knife. So when the prompt came up to scrapbook about a knife, I decided right away that I was going to scrapbook this photo. It's kind of a nutso kind of picture, but I'm using this stack from DCWV. It's called Immortal Love. It came out ages ago, and it came out right around the time that all the Twilight movies were very popular, or the books or something. I don't remember. But I read the books. I watched two of the movies, I think. Mostly I watched the movies because I love my girl. I love my girl Laura. But yeah, I couldn't stomach the movie so much. So so what are we doing? So I pulled some papers out of that stack, and I have this transparency sheet that I'm going to use to wrap around the photo. And I'm just pulling out some other paper here. All of the cardstock for this layout comes from that stack. And I've stopped buying them. I don't buy stacks anymore because I don't use them. I pull them out every now and then where I like challenge myself to make a layout with them. Otherwise, I don't use them very often, and it gets quite annoying to just. I should start giving them away, really, because I don't use them very often. I used to buy stacks all the time. Like, they would go on sale 10.99, 9.99 or something, and you get all of this paper, and then come to find out it's paper that I don't use. So, I am going to distress all of the edges of all the papers on this layout because it's kind of got a grungy kind of feel to it. The photo's kind of nuts, and the papers are kind of crazy. So I distressed all the edges of the paper and I cut that out. And I'm going to go around and I'm going to ink all of the edges as well. So I did that. And then I'm going to take this doily that I got from Walmart in the like cake decorating section or something, and I'm going to spray it with let's see, what colors did I use? I used Glimmer Mist and Indian Corn and Black Magic. So, and now I have a somewhat of an idea of what I'm going to do with this layout. So I'm going to cut this doily in half. I'm going to use part of it on the top and part of it on the bottom. I wish it was just a little bit bigger, but whatever. It works. It gives another texture to the layout, so that's basically what I was looking for. And I'm just adding these strips. I pretty much had the layout figured out of how I wanted to lay this all out before I distressed it and inked it. So there we go. So the main portion of the layout is done, and here I'm trying to decide whether I'm going to cut the photo or just leave it framed out, leave the photo whole, but just frame that crazy picture. I cannot even believe I'm showing this to you all. It's crazy. I'm going to use my tiny attacher to attach the photo to the frame, and then I decide that I am going to cut it out. So it'll just be the portion of the photo that is covered up by that acetate or transparent frame that has that border around it. So it's a very small photo on this very large page, but sometimes that's the way it happens. So I pulled out some bling from Prima, and some of these are recollection flowers. And I definitely wanted to keep the colors this dark red and black. There's some white in the background, but everything else is very white, red and black and dark. And that was intentional. I wanted it that way. So I'm going to put my photo up on foam adhesive. And I only wanted to put it on certain parts because I didn't know if I wanted to tuck things under it. So as of right now, I'm not adhering it down, but I put it up on that adhesive just to see like where I was going to put these gems because I want them tucked underneath the photo. So I didn't want to adhere it down until I had that done. And I'm going to use two packages of these Prima Say It in Pearls Mixed Crystal Red and Black is what they're called. and I've had them in my stash since I bought them at that scrapbooking yard sale that I talk about all the time, and they were like $1 a piece, which for Prima is pretty cheap, and so that's why I don't mind using like a lot of them on one layout. First of all, I want to use them up, and secondly, they weren't like I don't know how much they would be full price because I wouldn't buy them full price. Here is a little technique I'm going to try and see if it works out. I'm going to use some wax, and I'm using a mat that you use in the oven. It's a heat-proof mat, and I'm melting some wax here, and I'm going to use a wax stamp. And I'm just trying to figure out I've never used these before, like they're wax seals. So this is the wax that you buy like to seal letters or things like that. And I thought that with this layout being, you know, this kind of grungy effect and stuff like that. So the seal that I have there, I realized on the first one that I don't have enough wax on the paper, so it didn't cover the whole wax stamp. So I need to put down more wax for the next ones that I'm going to do. And I want 3 of them, but it's going to take me about, I think, 5 of them to get 3 of them that work. And this works out really well. Just make sure that you use, I don't know about acid free and all that because I don't really pay attention to all that stuff. All my photos are digital, so if people want the photo again, if the layout, I don't know. I don't have any children, so, who knows what's going to happen to these scrapbooks when I'm gone. I don't really think about that. I just scrapbook more for myself. But the wax seal has an H on it for our last name, so that worked out pretty well. And it works out really well. I mean, just make sure that you protect your surface with the heat. This is a heat resistant mat. It's a silicone mat that I got for my birthday, and I wanted it for baking, and I've never used it for baking. It's been in my scrap room forever. I use it for clay and all kinds of things like that. So I've actually never used it for cooking. So and never will now that it's been in the scrap room and that kind of thing. So very easy to make, homemade embellishment here. Very nice, I thought. It worked out pretty well. Yeah, move that all out of the way and go back to my layout. And I thought at first that I would use them as the center. I'm gonna have to work on my technique of getting those seals right because I had wax seep out from underneath, and then in the certain cases you saw where I didn't use enough wax. But I really like how they turn out on the final layout. I really like how they look. So I added that second Prima crystals there, and they're more pearlish than they are like gems or crystals. And I'm going to punch 2 tags out of this paper here to do my journaling on. And I'm going to lay them in well, I'm going to change my mind on which tag I want to use. And these Marvy punches, this is a Marvy punch. It's very tough to get that Marvy punch to work. I saw someone on YouTube recently talk about putting their punches on the floor and stepping on them to get them to work. I think that's what I'm going to do with those Marvy punches from now on. I'm going to use unfortunately, I didn't realize it at the time, but this is actually a Martha Stewart punch that's star-shaped and not circular, so that was a bit of an issue. But once I put the twine through it, it wasn't really that big a deal, but I thought that I had picked up the circular one and not the Martha Stewart star one. So what I'm doing now is I'm off looking for twine. I really wanted black twine, so there we go. This is actually American Crafts jute, is what I'm using here. So I'm gonna put the jute behind, through these holes to make them, look like they're tags, which was the whole purpose of putting the hole in the top as well, was to make it look more like they were really shipping tags than just a punch out. So I'm gonna put them and cut down the string, put them where I want them. I'm gonna do my journaling on those. Looking for some other gems. I'm gonna put the star was showing a little bit, and it would have been fine, but it was bothering me. So I covered the holes up with just some gems. And now I'm gonna finish embellishing the layout with some of these paper flowers. And I thought that I would use those. I'm going to use one of those wax seals as the center of that flower, and I thought I would use it for the top one too, but then I was like, if I used it for the top, that black flower there would be completely covered because of how large the wax seal is. So I'm gonna do my journaling here. I'm using my new Signo Uniball pen that I really like for journaling. It's thicker, so if you have a lot of journaling to do in a small amount of space, I wouldn't recommend this pen. I'd recommend something with a smaller point, but this worked out well. I'm just journaling here about the fact that Stu got me this knife for Christmas, and he got me chef knife skills cooking a class as well. And then of course I realized, oh, you didn't ink up these. It's always something. I always have to pull something up. I didn't ink the edges of those tags, so I wanted to do that, so I pulled them up to do that. I'm gonna put that wax seal back down with some foam adhesive. And I didn't get it all where I needed it, so I had to cut some of that foam adhesive up. And now I'm off looking for some letter stickers that I'm going to use to put the title on this layout. And before I do that, you'll see that I'm going to take some washi tape and add some washi tape around. To give me a spot to put my. Here we go. I realized that my title would be floating. It wouldn't have anywhere to sit if I did not have something over on that left-hand side. So I just pulled out some red washi tape, and I'm going to use some black on top of that. I have the darndest time getting the washi tape to slide underneath layers of paper. It just sticks everywhere. And now I'm looking for some black washi tape. There we go. I'm going to use a strip of that on all three of the clusters of washi tape that I have. There we go. And I really wanted to use these letters. They're huge. They're from Basic Gray. And the problem is they're huge, so they didn't fit. See? I'm gonna give it a try, but it's not gonna work. I'm gonna realize pretty soon that this is not. Like, I punched them all out and then realized that there's no way. I thought maybe if I staggered them I could get them to work. I really wanted to use them, but it didn't work on this layout. So now I'm going to go through the rest of the ones that I pulled out. And these are, let me see what they're called. They're American Craft Thickers, obviously. They're in the font called Flaky. I think that's Flaky. And obviously the color is black. And I had two sets of them, thank goodness, because I didn't have enough. No, they're actually two different fonts, aren't they? I don't know what the other ones were. So one was American Craft Stickers, Flaky and black. And I don't know what the other ones were. I don't know, in the final layout it looks like they're all the. Nope, the ones in the center, the ones that say on, are definitely a different font than the words Psycho and Loose. But I don't know what font that is. Oh well. Probably because they were in a bag and I had removed the branding elements. Oopsies. So my title is Psycho on the Loose, to go around with that crazy, crazy picture of myself that I cannot believe I'm sharing with you guys, but there it is. Here's a final look at the layout. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions or comments, leave them below and I'll do my best to answer them. I hope you guys are having a great day, and I will see you next time. Bye.